Hello and welcome back to another video on the Roberto the Hornet channel, and in today's video we're doing Premier League predictions for match week number 23 of the 2023 to 24 season. That's right, more fixtures to sink our teeth into for match week 23, and of course there is still AFCON going on, quarterfinals, you've got the quarterfinals of the Asia Cup. It's all going on, and there are some interesting matches this weekend, so we'll dive straight into them. Before we do, let's quickly look back how we got on in match week number 22. Thanks for all those that watched the video. Your support is much appreciated. 256 subscribers is really great, so thank you a lot for that. So in our previous match week 22 predictions video, we had some predictions in from Ballum, so thank you Ballum for your predictions, it's always appreciated. He said Nottingham Forest 0, Arsenal 1. Now that one was of course a Nottingham Forest loss, but it was in the end 2-1 to Arsenal, so at least you get the 5 points for the correct goal difference, because it was the one goal difference. But Nottingham Forest didn't look good in that game for a long time. Arsenal looked pretty comfortable with goals from Bukayo Saka, and of course the first one for Arsenal was Gabriel Jesus. So yeah, Forest got back a goal right at the end. Taiwo Awoniyi with the goal against Arsenal like he usually does. But it was an important win for Arsenal to get back on track, away from home at least. They beat Palace 5-0, but now it's a couple of momentum, couple of games. They go into that game, huge match on Saturday night against, Sunday, I should say, against Liverpool at the Emirates. The title kind of clashed that. So, they did draw the reverse fixture at Anfield, but this is really going to be where it comes down to it. Who is going to be that challenger for City? Is it Arsenal like it was last season, or is it Liverpool like it was in the previous seasons? Because of course this is Jurgen Klopp's final season for Liverpool, so those Liverpool players without Salah, who's currently injured, obviously Egypt already out of AFCON, but they'll want to do it for him, they'll want to do it for Jurgen Klopp, and so it's a massive game, and Arsenal will be very pleased to go into that in a bit of form. Now Fulham-Everton, I should have really said that was a draw. That had draw written all over it, didn't it? And it finished 0-0. You went for a 1-1, Ballum, so again, correct goal difference, fair play, 5 points. You're on to 10 so far. And Luton-Brighton, I actually thought Brighton would win that. It was in fact a 1-0 prediction for Ballum. It was 4-0 in the end for Luton. And I don't know how that happened, to be honest. But yeah, fair play Luton. They played well. And a first Premier League hat-trick for Elijah Adebayo. Incredible stuff, and Brighton were just all over the shop. They didn't look great against Wolves, and then again against Luton, a bit underwhelming. So yeah, not ideal really for them in the end. Then we had Crystal Palace against Sheffield United. That was a interesting 3-2 Palace. So you got the correct result with the Luton game, 3 points. The Palace game, you also got a correct goal difference because it was, of course, 3-2. So that's 1-0 prediction for you, a 1 goal difference. But Sheffield United, they actually scored early on in that game through, yes again, Ben Brereton Diaz after he scored against West Ham. He's on fire at the moment, but they still can't keep clean sheets. They still can't keep the goals out. And Eberechi Eze with a wonderful performance, 2 goals for him. You also had 2 assists and a goal for Michael Olise after he came back from injury. But then Eze and Olise go off with injuries. So hopefully they're not too serious and they can be back for the game against Brighton at the Amex. But it was incredible performance from both of those two. So another 5 points. So at this point, Ballum, I have to say you're doing well. You're doing well. So you're now up to a total of 18 points. Then we've got the game between Aston Villa and Newcastle. You went for a 1-0 Villa, and Aston Villa did not win the game, and the first time they've been beaten at Villa Park this season by, of all teams, one of the worst away teams, Newcastle. So yeah, a real surprise one that. 2 goals for Fabian Schär. I bet he didn't expect to see that. And it was a good win for Newcastle. Just a shame that Alexander Isak went off injured at the end. So we'll have to see if he'll be fit for the game against Luton this weekend. But yeah, really, really important win for Newcastle to get back on track. They've started to win a few more games now with the FA Cup Sunderland match, so it's important stuff really for them. Tottenham Brentford. You went for a 1-0 Tottenham. So unlike the Aston Villa game where you got nothing, this was another correct goal difference because it was 3-2 to Tottenham. Great game. And Tony, did score again. He's on fire. But Neil Maupay scored, and so did an attacking return for James Maddison. So those two, Maddison and Maupay, were at each other like it was honestly the most comedic thing I've ever seen. But yeah, the dart celebration, Maupay saying that Maddison's had more relegations and less goals. Well, if you check the Premier League stats, Maddison's actually scored more. But in his career, okay, in League One and Championship, that's not that impressive, Neil Maupay. Anyway, no, it's fair play, 5 points for you again there, Ballum. So yeah, from 18 points, then up to a nice little 22 there, or 23 I should say. But then you also had 10-0 Man City. It was a Man City win. But it wasn't 10-0, it was 3-1 in the end. So 3 points for the correct result. You're up to now 26. But look, decent prediction, not 10-0, but decent to say City would win because they were much favoured and they did get the win. 2 goals from Julian Alvarez, looked fantastic. Also a late consolation for Alderkill. And so, yeah, City got the job done really. So, yeah, they're up to... a good kind of level now, City. This is what they do every season. They find ways to get back in the title race, find ways to just look threatening. And that's why I think they are going to be really pushing Liverpool and Arsenal right till the end. I'd be surprised if, anyone can stop them because they're just so strong. But you never know. So, yeah, it's fair enough. 26 points then for you, Ballum. You also said 2-0 to Liverpool against Chelsea. Now that one was actually a very good prediction because Liverpool did win the game, but it ended up finishing 4-1. So no points for the correct goal difference there, but still a pretty humiliating night for Chelsea. Obviously Nkunku got a goal, which is good for him to get back on the score sheet, and Liverpool also just looking irresistible in attack. So yeah, fair play Liverpool. Without Salah, they're not making it look too much of an issue, and so there's another 3 points for you there. I think that's on to 28 no 26 plus 3, 29. And then there was the West Ham Bournemouth game. It was a 1-0 prediction from you. It finished 1-1, so nothing there. And then you also didn't predict the Wolves Man United game, so I'm afraid to say I think you finishing on 29 is the situation. I think I've calculated that right. I hope so anyway. But how did my predictions go? Well, that's a good question. Let's have a little look, shall we? In match week 22, I actually can't remember what my predictions were. I didn't actually write them down. Oh dear, that was a bit silly. Anyway, let's move on to match week 23. I'm just having a think about this. Wolves Man United, I can't imagine I'd have said... I want to quickly check, so just bear with the people. Bear with a sec. If I just check for you now, we'll get straight into match week 23 after this. Right, Forest Arsenal. I think I went for... Here we go. Drum roll, please. Oh. Oh, I'm taking so long. Yeah, sorry about this, people. Okay, right. I need to speed myself up. Why is it taking so long? Oh, I did say Arsenal can get the job here done but I think that they will concede. Nottingham Forest 1, Arsenal 3. Okay, that's not far off. I'll take the 3 points, but pretty unlucky that. Goal scorers, Bukayo Saka. Nice. I also said Trossard. And I also said Gabriel. And then Chris Wood to score for Arsenal. It was the other striker. Everton, Fulham. I think I said... Yeah, I said 1-0 Fulham. So close. It was a 0-0 draw, so no points for me there. I think I went for a Jimenez goal, if I remember rightly. Oh, I should have just gone for a 0-0. Yeah, now I think about it. Then Brighton against Luton. I'm pretty sure with my Watford bias and Pedro and everything that I would have said Brighton win, to be honest. He just scored a hat-trick, to be fair to me, against Sheffield United in the FA Cup. And he did, of course, score for Watford on his birthday against Luton. So I just backed him. I backed him and I backed Brighton. But it didn't go to plan, did it? It didn't go to plan. I said Luton 0, Brighton 2. Yeah, not ideal. But, you know, when I think about it, was that a bad prediction? Probably not. Palace Sheffield United, I went for a Palace win, which it was. But I ended up predicting in that game that Palace would win 2-0. So, again, 3 points, not too shabby. Villa Newcastle, I actually thought Villa would win, so 0 points for me there. Not ideal. I said 3-1 to Villa. Then City Burnley, I thought that was going to be a City win. Unsurprisingly, I guess. But it ended up being 3-1. I guess in theory I thought maybe Burnley would score, but I kind of felt that it would be hard because Burnley this season away from home have not been too good. So I went for a 3-0 in the end. Why did Burnley have to concede? Have to score right at the end? It was on for a 3-0 for most of that game. Very frustrating stuff. Anyway, then we also had the game between, is it Liverpool Chelsea? Oh no, Spurs Brentford. I went for a 2-1 to Spurs, which was 3-2. So again, correct goal difference. We take that. Liverpool Chelsea, I said a 1-0 Liverpool, and it was 4-1. So, you know, correct result at least. Then I said West Ham Bournemouth. What did I say for that? Oh yeah, of course. West Ham Bournemouth. I said was it 2-0 West Ham? Yeah, 2-0 West Ham, I think. And then Man United to beat Wolves 1-0. So again, not bad for the Man United game. The 1 goal difference. It was 4-3. What a game at Molineux. But let's get into match week 23 then. So match week 23 kicks off with Everton against Tottenham at Goodison Park. Now, I feel that Everton can at least score in this game because they didn't look terrible. Not horrendous, I thought, in the game midweek. I mean, look, when you think about it, Everton this season have been blowing hot and cold for a lot of it. But at the same time, they didn't play that badly against Fulham. And they have struggled for goals. But also defensively, they've not been that bad. They need to just get Calvert-Lewin get back scoring. Because it's just, without him in form, they're just not finding ways to score. I mean, Fulham have struggled for goals as well. But I expected them to score at least one Fulham. So fair play to Everton for that. Their defensive display, and Pickford with a decent performance. Now, Tottenham is going to be a tough test, though, for Everton. Tottenham in form. Richarlison's on fire, obviously a former Toffee, so he's not going to get a great reception, you would imagine, at Goodison. We never know. But I think Everton are going to lose this one. Everton 1, Tottenham Hotspur 2. And goal scorers in this one, I think Spurs will get a goal through Christian Romero. And then Everton equaliser, we're going to say Mr. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But then Spurs' second goal is going to come from Mr. Timo Werner. Now, it's Brighton against Crystal Palace, the M23 derby. An important game, but not really for these two sets of clubs because, you know, it's not really much of a derby. But it was, in fact, a 1-1 draw when these sides last met at Selhurst Park this season. it seems to always be 1-1. But a late Danny Welbeck header was a way to kind of steal the point for Brighton after a Jordan Ayew goal. So I think Palace, they probably are looking at this game thinking if they can have Eze and Elise fit, they could have a chance, because Brighton are not in a good form at the moment. And so Brighton will back themselves at home. I think I'm going to go for another draw, but this time not 1-1. I'm saying 2-2. So goal scorers, I think Brighton, Pedro will score. Even though he's actually currently a bit of an injury doubt, I think he'll recover from that and be fine to get the goal. He has been, kind of up and down this season for Brighton in terms of his goals, but when he's up big time. So I back him to score. Palace, now they will get a goal through one of their midfielders, which is, I'm forgetting his name now. What is it? Palace midfielders. Bear with a sec. Oh yeah, that's it. We're going to go for Mr. Jefferson Lerma. Then we've got a goal in the game for Brighton from Estupinian. So that makes it 2-1 Brighton. And then Palace hit back with a goal. And we're going to say that one will be Eze, because I think he'll come back from injury. Now, Burnley v Fulham is next. This game, I feel, is going to be another dull one, because Burnley can't seem to score goals. Fulham also can't seem to score, but Leno has been quite good at points this season, so I think it could be a tight one. I'm going to say Burnley 0, Fulham 2. Fulham's goal scorers will go for, firstly, a bit of Tosin Adarabioyo, and then Andreas Pereira. Now, Newcastle-Luton at St James's Park is going to be an interesting one. Obviously, Luton got the upset win at Kenilworth Road with a goal from former Toon player Andros Townsend, but I don't think that's going to be repeated. Newcastle have picked up recently, and Luton, they did just beat Brighton heavily, but I think that was just catching Brighton off on a bad day. Newcastle at St James's Park is going to be a hard place to go for Luton. Newcastle 3, Luton 0. Goal scorers for Newcastle will say Kieran Trippier. Then we'll go for a goal from Anthony Gordon. And the third goal for Newcastle, I'm going to go for Jacob Murphy. Now, it's Sheffield United against Aston Villa. I feel this game, Sheffield United will probably struggle in, because Aston Villa, yes, they've been better at Villa Park this season, apart from the Newcastle game. But still, I would say, even though their away form has been a bit sketchy, the difference in quality is going to pay, you would imagine. So I think Villa get the job done here. I'm going to say Sheffield United 1, Aston Villa 2. And Villa's goal scorers, Ollie Watkins, and also a goal for Villa from Leon Bailey. But Sheffield United get back a goal, a little consolation at the end from Mr. Ahmed Hodzic. Now, it's Bournemouth versus Nottingham Forest. Now, this is a game I think Bournemouth do get the dub, because, yeah, alright, against a tricky Tottenham side, I don't expect them to beat them. Then they had a game against Liverpool, didn't expect them to beat them. But Bournemouth, I thought, played well against West Ham. They got the point. Solanke got to get another goal. I think Bournemouth are just looking a fairly good side this season, now that it's clicked under Iraola. So I think Forest will struggle, even though Nuno's got them doing well, and Taiwo Awoniyi is back from fitness concerns. So that's a massive boost for Forest. But I still feel Bournemouth will do it. Bournemouth 2, Nottingham Forest 0. And goal scorers for Bournemouth, 1 from Solanke, and then the second for Bournemouth is going to be David Brooks. Now, Chelsea Wolves is up next at Stamford Bridge. I think Chelsea feel like they can probably win this one. They did, in fact, lose in the game at Molineux with a kind of unfortunate late goals. I think in the end came from Matt Doherty off the bench, I seem to remember. I think there was also Lamina scored. And so, yeah, I think Wolves probably won't be easy. We know how they tested Man United right to the end of that game. But I think Chelsea still will get the job done, being at home. And, yeah, all right, it wasn't good against Liverpool, but that was Liverpool. So I'll say Chelsea 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. Wolves goal scorer, Pedro Neto, who's back in form after his goal against Man United. And then Chelsea's goal scorers will say 1 for Cole Palmer, and the second for for Chelsea, thinking about Palmer, is going to be the Mr. Sometimes unreliable, sometimes reliable, Raheem Sterling. Now, Man United v West Ham. I think this is a game that Man United can get a few goals in because, yes, alright, they've not been great recently. Manchester United, their form's been up and down. West Ham, obviously, finding it hard to win at the moment. They got a point against Sheffield United, a point against Bournemouth. But I think United, Højlund's starting to click in that attack now, and I think that will definitely help them. Man United 3, West Ham 1. Bowen to score for West Ham, but for Man United, we'll say goals from Højlund, then Fernandes, and then the third for United, Anthony. Now it's Arsenal against Liverpool. Huge game, two big sides. Arsenal, Liverpool fighting for the title. What am I saying for the scoreline? I'm going to go for a 2-2. A great game, but we'll never know if either of these sides wins the league because it's another draw. But it's just too evenly matched. Honestly, I think this will be another draw, and I think Arsenal will get goals through Bukayo Saka and, let's say, Martinelli. But then Liverpool's goals come from, we'll go for Konate in defence, and then, let's say, Szoboszlai. And finally, we've got Brentford Man City on the Monday night game on Sky Sports, and it's live. And this game, I think, is probably going to be a Man City win because when I think about it, do I think City can kind of beat this Brentford side? Yes. And Brentford this season have not been defensively strong. Haaland, you would imagine, will start this game. So we'll see if he's ready to do that. And Brentford, they did well against Spurs, but I just think City are too tough to stop. So Brentford 1, Man City 3. I'd say 2 goals for Erling Haaland. 1 for Brentford from Mr. Ivan Toney, of course. Who else? But then for City's third goal, we're going for it from Jeremy Doku. Those are our predictions for match week number 23 of the Premier League. Get yours in the comment section below before the game kick off tomorrow morning. But yeah, hope you have enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everyone. And don't forget, on my FPL channel, FPL Yellow Army, I'll be doing a deadline stream tomorrow morning. See you later.